Welcome to Discovering. Fall is just around the corner, and that means the white-tailed deer seasons are too. Tonight, we learn about saddle hunting gear. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, or maybe you've even hunted with it. And some tips on how to set up your trail cameras. So sit back and relax. It's Monday night, and it's time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
The Michigan deer archery season is just over a month away. If you're thinking about how to get yourself deeper into the woods this season after that elusive monster buck, you might want to consider saddle hunting. The folks at Hardcore Outfitters invited Carl Kossuth, lead designer for Tethrd, a manufacturer of saddle hunting gear, to make the journey up here from Missouri to show us how to use a hunting saddle and talk about the benefits of saddle hunting.
Saddle hunting's been around since, the best I can tell, probably about 75, in the mid-70s, somewhere in there. John Eberhart, he's from Michigan. He's kind of known as the godfather of saddle hunting. He's been doing it since at least that long. Killed a lot of big deer, him and several other guys, using saddle hunting techniques. And it's always had kind of a cult following. I mean, literally, there was probably only 1,000 maybe saddle hunters in the entire country who even knew what it was or about it, and it had never really been showcased or brought to the masses. So where Tethrd came in, I'm chief designer for Tethrd, and we started, we're 6 years old now. We basically brought saddle hunting kicking and screaming into the modern age. This is one of our basic saddle harnesses. This is the Grit Workhorse. This one happens to be in mossy oak bottomland. I'll show you how to put this on real quick. This is a regular. It comes in two sizes, a regular and an XL. So if I was going to walk in the woods, I would put this on my vehicle or the trailhead or wherever you happen to be. So as you saw, I just stepped through what we call the bridge. This is a Dyneema bridge. This is essentially what they use in vehicle winches nowadays. This rope right here has just under an 8,000 pound braking strength. With a saddle system, you're constantly under tension. Whenever you're hanging from your tether in the tree, you're under tension all the time. The world could crumble from underneath your feet and you're just going to swing into the tree and that's it. You're not going anywhere, so they're extremely safe. So I put the waist belt on. I'm going to reach through here. I'm going to grab these leg straps. These are micro Cobra buckles, and it doesn't matter which side you plug it into. They're both the same. Now these leg straps, you don't need them really tight. You should be able to slide 4 fingers underneath them pretty easy. So there's the basic idea of how to put it on. All right, let's talk about ropes. So these ropes are identical. There is no difference in these ropes at all. They're the same diameter, same strength. So for the sake of this discussion, we're just going to call this one our tether and this one our linesman. I'll take my tether and it's going to live over here in this right pouch on the Workhorse saddle. So that's there. My lineman's rope, so this is a very important rope because this is what's keeping you attached to the tree while you're climbing and while you're setting your sticks. I'm going to girth hitch this to my left lineman's loop. And then I'm going to take the Prusik, the carabiner, and the remainder of the rope, and I'm going to put it through there. Now, this rope is pretty much going to live here forever. There's really no need to take it off. And then you can take the rest of it, and stored in this pocket over here. So bare bones as far as minimally what you need to begin saddle hunting. As far as the saddle kit is what I have on. You need your saddle harness, your tether, and your lineman's rope. The great thing about utilizing the saddle system, especially in a place like the UP, there's so much public land up here where you guys can get really, really deep if you want to. And metal tree stands, even some of the smaller portable ones, they don't lend themselves very well to getting in deep and getting in quiet. Saddle systems do. Everything's light, compact. You're going to be right around that 10-pound mark, probably between 10 and 12, depending on what gear you get. Really, it's stick dependent on what kind of sticks you get. But you're going to be able to go back 1, 2, 3, 5 miles if you can get that far from a road. It seems like you probably could up here. And you're going to be able to get away from everyone and get into that good sign and have some really, really good hunts with this gear. All right, now we're going to show you guys how to set and climb on a stick. I've got a set of 1 sticks here today. So I'm just going to reach the stick around. I'm going to feel for the rope. I'm going to grab it. And I'm always going to come under this Dynalock tab right here. Think a circle and an X. That's all it is. I'm going to make a circle and then go right into an X. It's like a boat cleat on a dock. And then we're going to shove it down. It's going to lock in. So all of the work is being done back here behind this cleat. This is actually kind of loose right here, and that's fine because all the bite is happening back here. That stick is rock solid. It's not going anywhere. I'll set a couple sticks utilizing the lineman's rope, and you can kind of see how that process works as far as climbing goes. So I'm going to pull my lineman's rope out, and again, as a right-hander, I generally throw all my ropes around the left side. So I'm going to reach around the tree. I'm going to take my carabiner. This is called a screw gate carabiner. So when it's shut all the way, it's locked. When you open it, it's open. So I'm going to take that gate or that carabiner, I'm going to clip it into the other side of the lineman's loop. Now this is super important. Make sure you're fully engaged on that and shut the gate. So here I have my rope. I'm around the tree. I'm good and safe. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little bit of adjustment there to get a little bit closer. And I'm going to essentially sling this lineman's rope up the tree. If you've ever seen the people on the poles doing the electrical work, this is the same concept, except instead of using spikes, we're using climbing sticks. So I'm going to step up here on this stick. So there I am on the first one. And as I move, I'm going to keep flipping that rope up. So you can set as far away from the tree or as close as you want to be. This is a pretty good angle right here. If you get in too tight, then you're going to be kind of confined here trying to set your other sticks. So I'm going to go ahead and set this second stick here. And now I'm going to step up on this one, flip the lineman's, and keep going. Before you set your platform, you want to tether in. So that way you have 2 points of hookup before you step off your sticks and put your platform on. I'm going to come back down and we'll talk about the platform. Coming down is the same way. On down. The beauty of saddle hunting is the gear comes in with you. It goes out with you. You're not leaving anything in the tree. Number one, the gear is staying in good shape. It's not subjected to the weather, the elements, anything like that. Number two, nobody knows where you're hunting. You don't have a tree stand sitting out there all season for everybody to look at and wonder why it's there and if they want to hunt there or not. Nobody knows where you're at. Let's just assume that I'm at hunting height at this point. So I'm standing on top of the standoff on my last stick and I'm ready to put the platform on. I'm going to pull out my tether and this is going to girth hitch around the tree. So I'm going to go around. I'm going to pass the carabiner and the prusik and the remainder of the rope back through this 5-inch loop. So you can see here, we're on there. Now I'm going to take this prusik, and this whole time I've been climbing, my bridge here has been kind of in what I call the transport position, so it's been real short. I personally hunt with a very short bridge. I shoot a longbow, so I need as much real estate as I can get as far as my work area here. So what I'm gonna do, right now I have both these ropes hooked up. I'm going to transfer my load from my lineman's up to my tether. So I'm gonna take that Prusik, and I'm gonna get my load into there. So now this one's slack, my load's here, this gate here, I wanna make sure I close it. Again, it's facing up, I can see it. Open this up. So now for the remainder of the hunt, I am done with the lineman's rope. I will not have to put this back around the tree until it's time to leave. So I'm gonna store it right in here. So now I can hang the platform. And I'm gonna take the cam buckle around the tree. So you wanna keep the platform closed up whenever you're installing it. I'm gonna hold my knees, again, so just assume I'm standing on top of that stick. I'm gonna hold this platform here with my knees. And I'm gonna flip that around. So I'm gonna hook that cam strap on. I wanna make sure that it's pretty perpendicular to the tree. I don't have any big angles or anything in it. I'm gonna get it as tight as I can, again, with the platform closed. Now I'm gonna take that post and push it down, and now I'm gonna cam the platform over. It's gonna bite. So there's a little spring in that, and I can get that out here real quick. So now I'm gonna step up here. At this point, I can slide my tether on up where I want it to be. So right now, I've got a little bit of spring in my platform because this is a new cam strap. So I'm going to do a tow hook on this platform. I'm gonna stand on the top of that post. I'm gonna hook the platform. And you saw that post drop a little bit. Now I'm gonna cam it back over. And now we are rock solid. There's so many ways that you can adjust and tweak it to where you're more comfortable. You can raise the saddle up on your body, lower it, adjust the tether height, the bridge length, all that stuff. You can adjust and play with the recliner. So yeah, you can get to where your climb times, setup times could be 25, 30 minutes your first time. I mean, it really could. By the end of the season, you've cut it down to under 10, maybe even less than that. It's that fast. The learning curve is very, very short, especially once you start getting your particular climbing style and your system dialed in. When you get a saddle system, you want to do exactly what I'm doing here. Be a foot or two off the ground. Most everybody that shoots a bow now has a little block target that they can move around. Put that thing about 2 yards away, hook in, have all your gear up here, dump a couple arrows into that block, unhook, hop down, pull your arrows, and then move the target. So move it from here to there, to there, to there. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna master all of these shot angles, strong side and weak side, before you ever go up to hunting height. So by the time it's time to climb and do it for real, you're super comfortable with your gear, you're comfortable with all your shot angles, and you're ready to go. So as a right-handed shooter, we work off the clock, right or left-handed, so 12 o'clock being there, 6 o'clock being there. Basically everything from 12 o'clock to probably 5 o'clock for a strong side shot is very doable, and I can hit all of this out here. I'm simply swiveling my hips. I'm not even coming off the front of the platform. I can hit this drop shot right here. Hit all that, real easy. Now, if you are going to shoot around the tree, I tell everybody, and I don't care how seasoned you are as a saddle hunter, get that third point of contact. Right now I have 2 points of contact. I have my rope here and I have my feet. I'm gonna get that third point of contact so I can pivot around that tree, and this foot here is gonna tuck to the inside. This becomes my control foot on the outside. I'm staying tight to the tree. So the tighter you stay to the tree, the more control you have over the shot. Weak side shots, I'm just watching. As soon as that limb clears, I'm rotating and I'm coming down and I'm drawing back like that. The ability to shoot 360 degrees around the tree is huge. If I came up here and hunted, I would not be surprised if a deer came from anywhere around me, not just some little trail I might be set up on. I mean, you locals, you know more about it than I do, but you have that ability to shoot all around the tree. You're not fixed in one location where you can't move. So that's another benefit. This is where you'll learn to trust your gear, because whenever the first time you do this and drop your bow straight down, it's a little bit of a strange feeling, because you're out of your wheelhouse, you're out of your comfort zone. So practice at the ground, get really proficient with it at home, shooting the targets around the tree, especially before you start climbing. That's a down and dirty saddle hunting 101. Go online, Google, YouTube. There's tons of good information out there. And yeah, check it out. You'll enjoy it.
Last week, we showed you a multi-trail camera system. Today, John Volkman gives us some tips on camera placement.
Basic trail camera operation, obviously putting them in the right spot is key to getting pictures. A deer trail, obviously food plots are used in a lot of instances, and then when we get towards the fall, placement on such a thing like a scrape or a rub or any kind of rutting activity area where you might get more and more pictures of a buck or the deer that you're after on your particular property. Some things that we run into quite a bit that people maybe don't pay particularly enough attention to is how you place your cameras. It's okay to place them high, but if you do place a camera high, and we run into a lot of people that'll place them, eye height, to a human being because maybe that's the most comfortable spot for them to put them. But the reality is those deer are, a deer is fairly short. They're going to be up to your waist. So placing them lower will end up getting you a lot more game pictures, especially deer. And then even more so if you're talking about getting like turkey pictures, which a lot of people do nowadays, or just a lot of people put out cameras just to get general wildlife pictures. We run into that quite a bit where people will say, I'm missing deer. They sit in their stand and they watch a deer walk by the camera when in reality the camera was, mounted extremely high. The deer is, a few feet away from the camera and he actually walks under the detection area of the camera and he doesn't get his picture. So you will get a lot more pictures if you run that. I always tell people, if you're running them, level on the ground, waist high at the highest, mid thigh is really, really good for detecting turkey, deer, that type of animal. If you do want to place them high, you need to really pay good attention to angling that camera at the particular spot where you think the animal is going to be. So whether it be a scrape, whether it be a trail or whatever, if you're placing it high for whatever reason, some people have the feeling that maybe it would spook the deer less, or from a theft deterrent type thing, use some kind of tool that will allow you to aim that camera at the particular spot. Keeping the sun, angle of the sun, based on wherever you're putting it, is a good idea. Facing it north in general can be better. Doesn't mean you always have to do that, but you wouldn't want to face it, if it's a spot where you feel like you might get a lot of morning pictures, directly to the east where the sun might be washing out your images. The other thing that people don't do often enough is get that camera close enough to the spot. They may set up the camera, at a distance where they think is like a normal archery shot or a normal bow shot. Whereas, let's say you set that camera 20 yards from the target area, that's a long way to take a picture. And I always give people the example where if you took your cell phone out and took a picture of somebody without zooming it in at 20 yards, and you looked at the picture, you're going to lose a lot of detail. So I like to put the camera 15 to 30, 35 feet. If you are going to monitor an area that's longer or further away, you just got to keep that in mind, that some of those images may not be as crisp, or the animal might not be as large in the pictures that you need to find that detail. A lot of people will just mount their camera on a tree. The beauty of the post mount is you can put it exactly where you want it. You can face it exactly the direction you want it. You can also make sure it's perfectly vertical. Obviously, there's not a lot of trees that are perfectly straight up and down. You see people putting sticks and all kinds of things behind their mount to level their camera. But like we talked earlier, leveling your camera and having it at the right height can really be important. These post mounts are real popular just because it gives you a lot of flexibility. Another thing to keep note of would be the camera delay, meaning that how often will the camera take a picture if that animal is in front of it. So in several instances, so if you're using the camera over a bait pile, if you're using the camera over a scrape compared to a trail or in a food plot, you may want to shorten that delay up on a trail or a food plot to make sure you get either a following deer or you get multiple pictures of a deer that crosses that area. Conversely, if you're going to put it onto a bait pile or even a scrape or something like that, you may want to extend that delay so that you're not getting, for instance, the same picture of one doe with her 2 fawns, 40 or 50 times. So you may want to extend that delay somewhere like a minute or 2 minutes. If you're on a scrape or a trail or a food plot where the deer might just be passing through, maybe 5 seconds is the right delay. And that's something that you can play with.
That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.